2 years ago, I was riding bulls. Now I'm representing Team USA.
That's badass, dude. So let's go back to the beginning, man. Let's talk about some of this bull riding stuff. What got you into bull riding?
One time I was eating at a restaurant and I saw bull riding on the TV, and I was just thinking I really wanted to do that.
Awesome, man. I know you were doing the calves and the steers when we were in California, then you got a chance to get on the mini bulls when we got to West Texas. What do you think about that?
I thought it was pretty cool to be able to experience that. It definitely helps with everything that I'm doing right now because it taught me to be strong and have a good mindset and being able to go out there and do what I do.
It takes big guts to get out there on a big animal like that. How successful were you at bull riding?
I feel like I was pretty good. I placed second base pretty well.
What made you decide to stop?
Whenever I was riding the bull, I fell off and got dragged, and then it stepped on my back. Then I was just thinking, I'm done, completely done with this.
It's a wrap, huh?
Yeah.
All right, that's understandable. What made you choose to go from that to Jiu Jitsu instead of all the other things you could have done, right? So we were in West Texas at the time. Football is huge out there. Why Jiu Jitsu?
I did do football for a little bit, but one time I saw Jiu Jitsu magazine, then I thought, hey, I wanted to try this.
What was your first experience like? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember showing up in a no-gi class, just my shirt and shorts. Yeah, I just got on the mat and drilling and takedowns.
You keep that in mind when you see newer students coming into the academy and whatnot, trying to make them feel more welcome.
Yeah, I remember how it felt being there and knowing nobody.
Feeling a little bit awkward and out of place.
Yeah.
Especially when the coach is like, all right, everybody pair up, right? And then you're like, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting there watching you. It took a while for you to just kind of just warm up and just kind of awkwardly standing there, just waiting to be told where to go. But I did notice too, over time, you would recognize that in other people and just say, hey, come over here. You would help guide people and stuff. Of course, as a dad sitting on the sidelines watching you, makes me proud. When did you realize I could actually be pretty good at this stuff?
I felt like I was getting promoted pretty fast in the beginning. I felt like I was doing really well. I was making a lot of progress. And in my first jiu-jitsu tournament, there was 16 kids in that bracket, and I ended up placing second place. So I thought I was getting pretty good.
Yeah, that was a gray belt division too, right? So a lot of people complain about wide of a gap there is in the gray belt division. You got your gray whites who had just moved from white belt, and then you got your gray blacks who are almost to their yellow white. There's a huge gap there in technique and skill. There was a parent the other day on the AGF sponsorship group who had asked, would it be worthwhile to have a separate division for those really skilled kids, so the less skilled kids wouldn't have such a hard time and possibly be discouraged. What do you say to that?
I don't really agree with that. I feel like going in there and facing tougher competition will help you get better way more fast than it would be than facing the same skill level as you. Facing that tougher competition, you'll grow really fast and you'll be able to fix those mistakes way faster than just facing someone that's on your skill level or slightly below.
You sound like you speak from experience.
Yeah.
What point stands out in your mind as far as a time where you were pushed to step out of your comfort zone and step up in competition?
Whenever I was going to sign up for a Naga, one of my friend's dads told me to sign up for the expert division and face the tougher competition, and I did, and I ended up getting second place in my first expert division that I did.
You got second in Nogi, but the same day you did gi and you got gold.
Yes.
So you got the belt, right? And I remember you were going into the finals for your gi division, and you were a gray belt at the time, and there was a kid with an orange belt, and you beat him. That says a lot to other athletes and other kids who are facing these challenges. Belt doesn't really matter. It just holds, I even told you that day, I just hold this gi together, right? You just got to believe in yourself, and you did, and you went out and you did well. That was a really good example of pushing yourself. We've traveled a lot. I want to say it was 2021 was a pretty challenging year for you. You want to talk about that?
We ended up going to New York or in AGF. During that time, my game was just close guard the triangle, and I remember that competition. Whenever I got to close guard, I wasn't able to get the triangles at all, and they're able to open up my guard, and I didn't know any open guard, so that forced me to learn open guard. And then my next competition, I was able to implement that. I was able to win some matches using my open guard.
I remember that really just lit a fire under you as far as working on that, even going as far as putting your hands in your gi when you're going against, some lower belts. Put your hands in your gi to force yourself to learn to be better at using your feet as hands. And when you're able to add your hands and arms back into the game, people really have a really hard time with your guard. And I try to tell other people that and talk to them, but hearing it from you versus, me, it, it holds a lot more weight, right? Because you've been there, you've done that. But I know last year, stepping up into, going from the kids ranks where you had made it up to green belt in your first year at juvenile blue belt, I know there were some challenges there.
Whenever I first became a blue belt, I had to go against people that were older, stronger, and that year it was a lot of losses, but it was also a lot of learning from that.
Right after you got your blue belt, and you weren't old enough for it yet, you weren't supposed to get it till the following year. It was right after Pans. I mean, you ended up competing against that 21-year-old MMA fighter. But I remember at the time, I even told you, I said, he's an adult. He has to split his time between working a full-time job to pay bills. And since he's doing MMA, he's whatever time he has left, he's splitting across striking parts. So you have significantly more mat time, and you ended up beating him. Then going into IBJJF, Juvenile 1 year, where you go to an open, and they're combined Juvenile 1, Juvenile 2. Some of these kids, I call them kids, but they're like, some of them look like damn near grown men with mustaches. And when you're matched technique wise and the ability as far as from having all the mat time with other kids, they just had that advantage, the strength advantage. They were, further along in puberty and stuff. And it was a challenge, I know, at first, and we just had to really just come to terms with and accept that, this is probably not going to be the best year. It was going to be, like you said, a year of growth and development, but it ended up finishing strong toward the end of the year. So it didn't take a whole 12 months per se. Definitely last year was a strong finish because you had a win at Friday Night Live Pro. You finished out the year. Your very last competition was winning Naga Adult Expert. But then that takes us into this year, and you've been on a roll this year. And I even told you, I said, remember how you felt last year, Juvenile 1. Now you're Juvenile 2, you give those Juvenile 1s the same warm welcome you got.
I've gotten double gold at both Dallas Open IBJJF and Indianapolis Open IBJJF.
Right now you're currently ranked the number 1 overall juvenile. You're also ranked number 1 in your weight class. At Dallas tournament, or right after you got your weight class gold, let's talk about that.
As I was in the line for the open class, one of the kids was asking me if I was going to sign up, and I said, of course. And he was from the weight class above, and he's the prodigy of the Jiu-Jitsu academy that he goes to. Even though I knew that I didn't let that get in my head. I stepped out onto that mat like it was any other match, and I finished him in 17 seconds with armbar. I full guard, he went to go circle for a pass, and then I stuck my leg over for a Choi bar and finished it.
You're part of Team USA now.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that?
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. Everybody gets the opportunity to represent their country. What else do you have coming up?
I have a seminar coming up for the AGF Kids Worlds in June.
Leading up to the AGF Kids Worlds, you were part of that inaugural event. We got your 2023 Nogi Challenger run on YouTube. You got the seminar coming up for that. We're AGF competitors. They have the opportunity to book some private lessons before the seminar, and they reach out and get 50% off. You'll have the UWW World Championships coming up and all the other majors after that. Jiu Jitsu American Nationals, Pans, Nogi Worlds. You got a busy year. We'll go ahead and land the plane here. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
Medals hide your weaknesses, but matches expose them. If you're chasing medals, then you're already behind.